Welcome back, Smutterflies.
Hello again.
Hiya.
Hiya, not for us.
You sick of me yet?
No.
Never.
Give me an hour though.
Okay.
Like we said last week, guys, we were doing a little bit of a double stacker because Sam's fucking off again on holidays. Shocker, it's not me. But then the next time you go after this time, it is with me.
You. Yeah.
Oh my gosh, sorry, it was so funny. When was it? When did you go out? Was it Friday you went out? Yeah, because I was out Friday.
Yeah.
Yeah, you went out for food. And I don't know how Corey saw it because he doesn't have Instagram, but he obviously must because I don't know. And he was like, oh, Sam put up a photo like on Instagram of him out, and I was like, yeah. And he was like, and he said they went for food. I said, yeah, but I was like, obviously I was at the meal. And he was like, oh, do you think people think that you've like broken up from the podcast when they see you not? And I was like, Sam has other friends outside. And he's like, yeah, but they're your friends. I'm like, yeah, but people from the podcast don't know that. I was like, what do you think she uploads a photo? And people are like, oh, the band's broken up, guys.
Guys. Refreshing Instagram, waiting for our breakup announcement.
Imagine if somebody replied like, Wisby.
Yeah.
Where is she?
Everything okay at home?
To be fair, Sam does have other friends that are not my friends. The friends that she was with, coincidentally, are my friends, but I just wasn't there.
Yeah, B was invited.
I had plans. Sorry.
Okay, I'm just saying that you were invited.
I was invited, yeah, no, I'm not salty about it.
Just don't want people to think the band's breaking up.
The band's back together. Sorry, that was a tangent.
That's okay. If you were listening last week, then what we're reading is exactly the same.
No, nothing's changed, sorry.
I'm reading A Destined Journey and Can You Take It by Janine O'Reilly. B isn't reading anything.
Well, I'm audiobooking Plumes of Darkness.
Oh, yeah.
I've just finished Chronicles of Kings and Councils. I'm going to read a beta for my friend Rachel called... Is it the Paper Child or is it the Tinderbox and the Paper Child?
The Tinderbox.
Oh, she's added the Tinderbox.
Yeah.
Okay. And then I'm going to beta read the second book in... I think it's called the Harbinger series, but it's the second book in Chronicles of Kings and Councils.
Cool. So that's just a little recap from last
Yeah.
week. As always, we're on Discord if you want to come chat about our episodes. But
Discord is really discording on Discord.
If you want to come and have some Discord with us, join us on Discord.
If you're looking for a plate of Discord with a side of Discord, join us on Discord.
With a tall glass of
Discord.
Yeah, you can chat to us about our episodes, our upcoming episodes, fan theories, reading buddies, all the things.
Yes.
Our TikTok live schedule, by the time this comes out, will be back up and running.
Yeah.
With at least 2 lives a week. We'll try for more when we can, but...
Let's say 1 a week.
Okay, 1 week.
Let's just go 1 a week.
Okay.
And then we're just always improving.
Okay.
You know? Let's, like,
we're always over-delivering.
Yeah. We're always over-delivering.
Okay.
We're on Patreon.
We're on Patreon. You're getting a lot of episodes a lot earlier than when they release at the moment. If you're on Full Frontal, you've had your live stream, which hopefully went well, because we're recording this before the live stream. But it just means that you're getting an episode way earlier, like at least 2 weeks earlier. You also get an exclusive episode. Some of the exclusive episodes that we've done recently have been Kiss of the Basilisk, How Does It Feel? We're looking for sort of unhinged book recommendations.
Yeah. Deep End, our individual ACOTAR deep dives are all on there.
Yeah. We've done some silly ones like ACOTAR, sightseeing around Valaris.
We did a Secret Santa one, didn't we?
Yeah, where they would buy each other.
And we did a Halloween one.
Yeah, we did their Halloween outfits.
Yeah.
With Tamlin and Lucian in matching costumes.
Yeah. That was a funny one.
Yeah, so we do loads of, well, we think it's fun stuff on Patreon. You get live like footage, so the videos go up with it for author spotlights and Patreon exclusive,
and you get them ad-free, and you get all the regular channel episodes at least a day early, usually 2 days, and ad-free, and the videos.
Well, what we are treating you
guys. Yeah, you do. We're really treating you over on Patreon.
And you get to have your say. We put a lot of polls in there asking, what should our next episode be? What should our next read be? So you do get a lot more of a say in the podcast and what content we're creating if you're on Patreon.
Yep.
But no pressure, because obviously we know
we're always here.
We're always here regardless of whether you choose to support us with a monetary contribution or whether you just want to support us by listening, liking, sharing. subscribing. Like, it's enough. We absolutely love that you're here no matter what.
Yes.
Is that everything?
I think so.
Okay.
So this episode is a bit like, we just sort of like decided, right, we're doing it. But because there has been movement. There has been movement in the ACOTAR world.
There has been movement in the Maasverse.
And we wouldn't be here if it weren't for ACOTAR. Like, it's been a long time since we've Throne of Glass, not so much because we did a deep dive for the beginning of season 2, but like, it's been a hot minute since we sat down and talked about ACOTAR because there's not really that much to talk about. Like, we're not a podcast that do chapter by chapter deep dives. We feel like we've done quite a lot on that topic, and we feel like until there's new material, we've always explored the romantasy genre as a whole. It's not that we don't love yapping about these books, but like,
there's only so much yapping we can do. And there's only so much yapping that you want to listen to.
But like we said last week, Mummy Maas gave us a crumb.
We're both in Maas
Massive t-shirts. Yeah, I'm in my Valaris t-shirt.
I'm in my Fireheart for top.
Mine's a cheapy one though. It's all like cracked. I should have worn my Lit Lines one. Sorry, I've got my Lit Lines hat on.
You
though.
Have got your Hello
Do you like
Prince
me in a hat? I feel I feel like it's good, isn't it? Sorry, I just
feeling
look at
yourself.
myself. Yeah, I think I quite like it. I think I might get more hats. Sorry. Anyway.
Fine.
Yeah, so we've had a crumb, and one of our listeners, Jane, actually DM'd us and was like, guys, like, there's been an announcement. Are you going to do like a emergency, you know, like when the Queen dies and you have to like interrupt like the news to be like, the Queen's dead.
We interrupt this live program to bring you live updates from Sarah J. Maas.
But we were supposed to record last Monday and we were going to do this as a bonus episode, but then I had food poisoning. And I literally had liquid coming out of every hole of my body. So sorry, honestly. So nobody wanted me here. I couldn't. We even planned to record like remotely, and I literally was so bad
that I'm too sick.
I couldn't stop. It was not good. But we're here now. We thought, you know what? We'll do a full main channel episode on it. So we're going to start off with what we know in terms of facts. So the first, say, like, we'll tell you when we're going to move, but there won't be spoilers for the rest of the Massiverse in the factual section. However, we will then be shifting to like a fan theory section where we can't not talk about her books as a collection. So if you haven't read Throne of Glass and you haven't read Crescent City, sorry, there's spoilers.
A lot of my theories include Crescent City, I'm afraid.
Cool. Are you okay for me to just fire off on the facts on what we know?
Yeah.
So the first draft or the post that we had was on July the 11th, and Sarah J. posted a celebratory Instagram reel snapping shut a notebook labelled ACOTAR 6. She then closed her laptop, popping champagne with the caption, "First drafts done." Now, the notebook that she snapped shut, people have found the actual notebook itself, because of course you have, because you're all wonderful, and I love the level of delusion we all live in. Now, I actually don't have the name of the brand, but it's available to buy on Amazon. Of course, it's like a fucking designer notebook. Like, she's a millionaire, good for her. Like, I'd be,
girl.
I'd be using them to wipe my ass if I was her, quite frankly. It's like a £25 notebook, which people were horrified at, and I was like, I mean,
that's the pennies to her.
Well, and also, like, I'd buy a £25 notebook, and I'm not fucking wiping my ass with it, so, but the front cover is very Terrazan coded.
It is
all I'll say. I think there's not much more that we can dive into. Was it probably a stocking filler from her husband? Yeah. Did he probably look and go, it's a bit green and a bit mountainy?
Feel like that.
Chill like that. Yeah, that's fine.
Yeah.
But like, I think people are maybe taking a little too far into that. Now, the biggest thing that people lost their minds about with this announcement was the front of the notebook said ACOTAR 6, and then what we even assumed was a -8.
I didn't think it was an 8.
Well, I did.
I thought it was -D.
Okay.
I always thought it was Dash D.
Okay. So by closer look and by, people zooming in and so on, I think it now is pretty much confirmed it's an arrow.
Yes.
However, that in conjuncture?
Trying to say.
Combined. That in addition to the drafts plural in the caption does imply that she's not just finished drafting one ACOTAR book. Now, she's been drafting the 6th ACOTAR, which we all know, for anyone listening, it's the fucking 6th ACOTAR. Everyone is like, it's number 5. It's 5. Well, it's not. It's 6. She said it's 6. It's ACOTAR 6. I'll get to this in a minute, but for now, we're calling it ACOTAR 6.
Mother calls it 6. We call it 6.
Well, so she's been drafting the 6th ACOTAR title since at least September 2023 and confirmed in early 24. That it's the next Court of Thorns and Roses book and that she's very excited about it. However, there are previous interviews during, I think it was the Silver Flames press junket that she was doing, where she insists that the next ACOTAR book is number 5. It's not number 6. So this is a bit of a departure, right? Why was she adamant it was 5, not that long ago, and now she's saying it's 6? Well, does it imply that ACOTAR 5 is still ACOTAR 5?
And it's done.
This is actually a book ahead again. And personally, that is what I think. Because the post that she put up in the cabin in the mountains, writing the next ACOTAR book, I'm drafting it, going off to the mountains to draft. The implication is that it was the next book in the sequel after Silver Flames. So I actually, but not to get into the psyche, but that means it's taken her a hot minute to draft, right? It's taken her nearly 2 years to draft one book, which isn't unheard of, but in her timelines, and anyone's timelines, to do a first draft, that is quite a long period. So really, has she actually drafted 2 books in that time? 3 if the arrow is continuing. In 2023, Maas re-signed with Bloomsbury for at least 6 more titles across her worlds, Crescent City and ACOTAR. But it doesn't rule out Throne of Glass. It doesn't say it is Throne of Glass, but it doesn't say it's not Throne of Glass. So since then, we've had one of those 6 titles. So we know we've still got 5 more. That's not new projects. That is pre-existing in her current titles. She's confirmed that the next installment will be a full-length novel, not a novella. So we're not going to get another transition novella like we did from Frost and Starlight Silver Flames. This is a little bit of a spoiler in terms of the rest of her work, so maybe don't listen to this few seconds if you're not read Crescent City. But multiverse elements introduced in House of Flame and Shadow, like the magical prison, Dust Court roots, the Starborn lineage, and artifacts, 8-pointed star tattoo, and Gwydion, she has confirmed could feature heavily. The character focus is likely Elaine. Numerous sources say that the 6th book will probably center on Elaine Archeron, exploring her seer ability, her emotional growth, and her love triangle with Azriel and Lucien. In terms of release time frame, we have nothing yet, but the project suggests and timelines suggest late 2025, early 26, possibly even 26, 27, depending on Bloomsbury's editing and schedule. However, if we were to go off her previous announcing drafts to then, actual release day announcements, it is looking like I think 2026 is kind of the latest. I would be very surprised if it was pushed to 27.
Yeah.
I think we potentially are going to get rapid succession. So I think once we get this one, I think maybe we'll get another one very quickly. But it might not be an ACOTAR. I think the chances of it being House of Many Waters is pretty high. So that is pretty much what we know in terms of facts. What I did realize I missed that I've put it go find caption. I didn't go find it, so I'm going to go find it now. Is the post that we had before this. So before this one, the last post we had talking about ACOTAR book was the 3rd of April 2024, which was the early one that she had saying, went up north to write for a while. She doesn't say what ACOTAR book, but she does hashtag Aka what? Again, if she knew it was going to be ACOTAR 6, why would she hashtag Aka what? Which again makes me think that I think people think she went up north in January or early of last year, and this whole time she's been drafting the next ACOTAR book, which we're now calling ACOTAR 6, although previously she's always called it ACOTAR 5. I think she's drafted 2. So I think we've got 5 and 6. So this announcement is not for the next release. It's for what she's just finished drafting. That is what I believe. Thank you for joining my TED Talk today.
Whoa.
So that's facts. That's what we know. There has been some people, there's one person who like, they run a Polycon, but they're like a book influencer, but they're quite big. And I cannot remember their name, but they've like done Sarah J. Maas interviews and have been in the fandom for like years and years and years and years and years. But they run a Polycon. I can't think of what their handle is. But they did like an Ask Me Anything a few weeks ago on, and they're like a friend of Sarah J. Maas.
Okay.
And they did an Ask Me Anything the other day on like Instagram.
Yeah.
And they had like confirmed some things on there, which I now can't remember what they were. But they confirmed some things.
Okay.
That's what we know. So now we're going to move over to our theories. So like we said, spoilers for the Massiverse if you've not read all of her books. Do you want to start?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Some of them, like, there's like a crossover between each different thread, because I've got multiple threads open. This is on Tumblr.
Okay.
And it's by somebody called Dottie Lovegood. And the title is Could Mo and Asriel Be Mates?
Yeah.
My most controversial headcanon that I thought was canon until I joined this fandom is probably that Asriel and Mo are mates. And yes, I will die on this hill. Just hear me out. I know that most people in this fandom are currently on either sides of the ship war, Elriel or Gwynriel. And I obviously think that Elriel will be endgame, hence blah blah blah. Actually, let me just ignore that. But that does not mean that I think they are mates, nor do I want them to be. I've read many theories about why Gwyn could be Asriel's mate. I don't believe it for a second. And even a few theories about the bond between Elaine and Lucian being fake and Asriel being her true mate. Though I do find this theory interesting, I am not convinced. Mo and Asriel, though, yes, I see them being mates. I believe it. I have believed it since Akamath, and I've yet to see anything that might dispute this theory. Does this mean that they will be endgame? Absolutely not. I actually think that their mating bond will be important for Elriel's story further on. Many of us think that a theme in Elaine's book will be about choices, and Elaine making an active choice to choose Asriel over Lucian. However, I think that Asriel has to make that decision too. And also, just imagine the scenario. Elaine decided to break or refuse the mating bond between her and Lucian. Elaine and Asriel finally get together. They live happily ever after until Asriel actually meets his mate 200 years later. Then Asriel has to make a choice. And will he be able to choose Elaine even when he has a mate? I think for Elriel to be possible, Asriel will have to have met his mate already. And I think that the mate is Mo. Am I alone with this theory? Because I almost never see anyone mention this. And then she's gone into why she thinks this, and I'll give you some of the examples because this is long. Their relationship is written ravenous and protective, the way that SJM writes about Feyre and Rhys after they have mated. So for Feyre and Rhys, he leaned in, brushing his mouth against my heated cheek. I closed my eyes at the whisper of a kiss, at the hunger that ravaged me in its wake, that might ravage Prithian. Rhysand was ravenous. I got perhaps an hour of sleep that night. And then in a scene when Mo wears a white dress that was just a little more than a slip of silk showing off her generous curves, Feyre describes Asriel's reaction to her like this. For a moment, the ravenous hunger on Asriel's face made my stomach tighten. And then also we know that mates are very protective of each other seen Essien and Faysand. And there's a lot of instances where Asriel is quite protective over Mo. Then she goes on to talk about the 500-year crash. I can't find a logical explanation as to why Asriel would fall in love with Mo, find out that she slept with his best friend, and then just stay in love with her for 500 years, even though she won't give him the time of day. 500 years is a very, very long time. I am convinced that Mo slept with Cassian because she could feel something between her and Asriel, and she didn't want to belong to a male, so she chose Cassian. If she went back to her father, she would have been forced to marry Eris. If she slept with Asriel, the mating bond might have snapped into place, so she chose the safest option. Then we've got Asriel's bonus chapter. Rhysand, are you out of your mind? Asriel, I don't know what you're talking about. Rhysand, I'm talking about you, about to kiss Elaine in the middle of the hall when anyone could see you, including her mate. Asriel, what if the cauldron was wrong? Rhysand, what of Mo, As? Asriel doesn't answer. He could have just said, I'm over her, I no longer have a crush, but he doesn't, because it's more than a crush, and Rhys probably knows that. And it's interesting that when Asriel mentions the cauldron, Rhys immediately asks him about Mo. He could have said something about Elaine and Lucien, but no, he asks about Mo. Then Asriel says, the cauldron chose 3 sisters. Tell me how it's possible that my true brothers are with 2 of those sisters, yet the 3rd was given to another. This can be read in 2 ways. Tell me why the 3rd sister was given to another, or tell me why the 3rd brother was given to another. And then Rhys and Az talk about the blood duel, and it says, despite being an outsider, Asriel had wanted to invoke it when he'd found Mo all those years ago. He'd been ready to challenge both Baron and Eris to blood duels and kill them both. Only Mo's right to claim their heads in vengeance had kept him from doing so. The blood duel is a duel that you can invoke when you want to defend your mating bond. Asriel could have just said that he wanted to kill Baron and Eris, but no, he wanted to invoke the blood duel. There's so much more. I just want to find one because...
That's literally give me goosebumps.
Yeah. There's one, and they talk about her sexuality. Maybe it's not in this thread.
You just said when he, when Rhysand and Asriel are talking in the bonus chapter, mind to mind, and he says, what about more, right? Why would he bring it? Because the implication at this point, without the background knowledge that we don't know, at that point, why would Morrigan give a shit about Asriel necking somebody in the corridor?
Exactly.
When Moore's literally like taken people to bed in front of, like, she takes Hellion for a fucking round when they're in the Dawn Court, right? So
she
like
slept with Cassian.
Yeah, like they both have taken. There's been no like hiding that they both have taken other partners. So why would he need to be careful about kissing somebody and Morrigan seeing when she's literally waltzed into a bedroom with Hellion, right? Why exactly? What is the reason for Rhys bringing that up? Because it isn't like propriety. It isn't like, oh, you know, don't be seen necking somebody else, because she's like literally banging people, which like fine, like rightly so, but like, yeah, come on, that's right in front of us.
I feel like people who write threads like this are so intelligent.
Yeah,
because like, but I would have like maybe picked up one of those things.
Yeah.
But when you lay them out like that, it's hard to dispute. Like when it's all laid out with like so many references back to the book, not just like, oh, I think this, and I've no evidence to back me up.
And Asriel losing his cool on so many occasions when it comes to Eris, and like I get it, but because when you first meet Eris, like the way you get described what he did is despicable, but then the longer it goes on, the more you start to see Baron Eris says stuff like, tell them the truth, Morrigan.
Yeah.
I had to put you back on the, you know why, I like set you free. And there's so much that alludes to like, and you know, towards Silver Flames, they actually end up working with Eris, and he isn't that much of an asshole, really. I'm not saying he's a good guy, but like he isn't everybody thinks he's just a mini Baron, and he isn't. I think he's actually a lot more like Lucien than he realizes, or anyone realizes.
Yeah.
So I don't think Eris is going to be the big bad. So it makes no sense for Asriel to like hate him as much as he does. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Everyone else dislikes him, but they're like, Cassian is able to be like, yeah, he's a knob, but
yeah,
blah 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 blah.
and
Whereas
see past it.
Asriel just has this like unruly like violence towards him, and Asriel's the most composed character in any other scenario. Like, he never loses his cool. So the fact that he does, like you said, it's like an animalistic thing. It's like he can't control it. But like pining for 500 years after your mate. If that is true, right? I'm not saying that Morrigan has to be with Asriel, but it adds to my I don't like Morrigan fucking shit pile already. Because imagine just making Asriel go through that. The only other theory I would believe, I agree with that person saying that their mate has to be dead, right? Like, why would he, like you said, why would he go with Elaine and the possibility of meeting his mate like 200 years down the line? The only other theory I'll believe is that it was Rhys's sister.
Yeah.
Because she's dead.
Yeah.
But I do believe the whole focus of the next book is going to be Elaine breaking her mating bond and Asriel breaking his mating bond. And they're going to do this star-crossed lovers, you know, give it all up for... Yeah. Yep. And it'll be seen as like him sealing her away.
Yeah. I read a really good theory earlier and I haven't got it, so I obviously didn't bloody keep the link. But it essentially says there's going to be a High King of Prythian and it's going to be Lucian.
Ooh.
So you have Lucian, who grew up in Autumn Court and became an emissary of Spring Court, then an emissary of Night Court. Now he's working with Vasa, the Human Queen, and he's really the son of Hellion, who is Day Court?
Awesome.
Or no, Hellion.
Oh,
Day?
Yeah.
Day Court. So the theory around it was he's the only person who could be made High King and not be seen as having a favoritism to a specific court or a specific realm because he's got so many ties, and that Vasa would be his queen.
That's interesting.
Yeah. To look at it from the perspective of, well, you haven't got a bias to anyone because you've been a part of so many courts.
Because I can't remember if it's in, I don't think it's in Crescent City, I'm pretty certain it's in Silver Flames. There's like a really bizarre discussion that Amren and Cassian have with Rhys about becoming High King, and they're trying to like convince him to be High King, and he's like, no, and they're like, you could though, now that you've got, because Nesta forges Ataraxia, like, and she forges the god weapons,
and he's got the dead trove.
Yeah, and that's what like Amren says, like, you could be High King, and he's like, because obviously we find out in Crescent City that like the guy from the Dawn Court, whose name I can't remember, is like Fion or something. He was the last like High King. So Rhys is a descendant of them as well. But that's interesting, because if I was going to put my money on any kind of High King, it would have been Rhys.
Yeah, well, but is it too obvious for it to be Rhys?
Yeah, no, now you said it, it is. I don't have it, but I saw a really interesting thing that, because there's like, am I right in saying there's like 5, 6, maybe more Autumn, like Lucian has like 5 brothers, right? Like 6 of them. One of them's dead. I think at least one of them is dead.
Yeah.
Eris being the oldest, Lucian being the youngest. There was a theory that Eris is actually Hellion's biological son as well. Ooh. So that she, because the affair's been on before she married Baron, right?
Yeah.
So like, why would it just be Lucian? And like potentially the middle ones are all Barons, but the Eris is Barons. Eris is Hellion's as well. That's why he feels the same sort of like disconnection to Baron as Lucian does, because they're both. But then that would make Eris heir of the Day Court, and I don't see that. I do feel like it probably is just Lucian.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I think at this point, particularly since the last Crescent City, everything points in the direction of like it being more on the whole like Starborn Dawn Court arc. But I would be interested to see how she transitions that from Nesta to Elaine. Because as of right now, it's very much Nesta's narrative.
Yeah.
And I'll be interested to see how she shifts it.
Yeah.
But I do think Koshikai is going to be our big bad.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, they're the next baddie.
Yeah. And I do feel like Asriel and Elaine are, there's no, like, it's going to be them.
Yeah.
It is what it is.
Yeah.
I think Morrigan being his mate will be a bit of a plot twist. But I love that.
Yeah, and it almost makes sense. We shall see. You want another one?
Yeah, go on.
Okay. This is a Reddit thread, and it is by Naturu SJM. I think there's a chance that the next book will be about Asriel, or at least a lot of it will involve his story. Like Bryce, he is also strongly attached to both Blades, Truth Teller and Starsword. Where did he get Truth Teller from in the first place? The description of Starborn Fae Helena in Crescent City, Ravenhead Helena, from whose golden skin poured starlight and shadows. For the Starborn Fae, starlight wasn't their only power. Shadows was a big one as well. Selene had the same shadows and starlight powers as Helena, and she went back to Prythian, and her descendants are there mixed in through the Night Court. In the books so far about Prythian, there has been no mention of anyone having anything like starlight powers in Prythian. I believe Asriel is the heir to the Dusk Court in Prythian, based upon him already having Truth Teller. He has shadows as a power, and he has a strong attachment to the Star Sword, as we saw in the tunnels. I believe Asriel is a descendant of a crossing between an Ennalis and Selene bloodlines. Having happened at some point, as we have seen, it's possible for an Illyrian to be the mate of a High Fae, Rhys's parents. There is more to Asriel's ancestry than just Illyrian, as he is a shadow singer and can do some form of winnowing, which other Illyrians can't. Ennalis was the original owner of Truth Teller, and I believe it was him that dipped that dagger in the cauldron. Asriel now has Truth Teller, and I think it works for him because Ennalis is one of his ancestors, and he has shadow powers and an infinity with the Star Sword because Selene is one of his ancestors, and it was Selene's father Finn who originally wielded the star. In Crescent City, Starlight and Shadow powers both continued down through Helena's descendants. Why did the same not happen in Prythian? Both sisters had the same two powers and they both had children. I think 3 major plot points in the next book could be Rhys having the 3 Dread Trove items in his possession, which only one other High Lord Hellion knows about thus far, and Koshkai knows. The Star Sword and Truth Teller that could destroy a world with their power now also belong in the Night Court. Bryce got rid of them from her world because she knew how dangerous that they were. This is a really interesting one. Bryce bleeding continuously in the tunnels into the underground waterways between the Court of Nightmares and the prison island, the whole way under the Night Court territory at a time when she was still infected with the Astri power leeching parasite. She was only cleansed of the parasite after returning to her world. So essentially, the ramifications of what the power leeching parasite might do, seeing as it's in the underground waterways in Prythian, and in particular to the Night Court and the possibility of other Astri Daglan being buried under other mountains like Vesperus was a parasite, could feed them enough power so they escape their imprisonment. I've never thought about that.
So is the belief that the Daglan are the Astri? Wow.
Somebody wrote in the comments, Dianasaurus Rex 123. I suspect Asriel was created by the princes of hell to fuel up the starborn air in Prythian in lieu of Gwydion, just like Hunt was created in CC. Hunt brought the light/star, Asriel brings the dark/shadows. Bryce said his power was like 100 proof of liquor. One thing that is very prominent in both Tog and Crescent City is a breeding program by the higher-ups. We haven't seen it come out in ACOTAR yet, but I'm sure it is there, and I'm also fairly convinced the Princes of Hell have been meddling in other ways too. Side note, I have suspicions about Helena and Selene being daughters of Fionn. I think they are Aedises. Thea didn't get pregnant for centuries, then suddenly has 2 kids right at the end of Fionn's life. Very suspicious.
Oh, fuck. Sorry, what was Fionn's wife called again?
Thea.
Thea. She has 2 daughters, Celine and Helena.
Mm-hmm.
And one's the one that gets stuck in Prythian, one gets stuck in ACOTAR. The one who gets stuck in
Prythian is ACOTAR, Crescent City. Helena's in Crescent City.
Yeah. Celine
is in Prythian.
And she's the one that when they go to like the thing,
she's there.
And they say, and Azriel says, that looks like Reese's sister.
Yeah.
Oh my God, I can't even with the chills.
And then somebody commented, Lightning Dumpster commented, I think the same about Azriel, plus Loken from Throne of Glass and his mystery power from Hellas himself. I desperately want to know more about the Princes of Hell and what they were up to.
And like, I'm guessing then if we're calling, so they're the Asterai in Crescent City, they're the Daglan in ACOTAR, they're the Valg in Throne of Glass, right? I'm just about to Google the Daglan because I felt like in my head the Daglan were like beasts. I don't know why I don't remember them being like Asterai-esque. The almost forgot a fair hero led the run against the Daglan, the ancient. Okay, the Daglan, the ancient rulers of Prythian. He is credited with overthrowing the Daglan and establishing the first High King. He wielded the sword Gwydion, which was made with the cauldron and capable of defeating the Daglan. However, Fion's reign was cut short when he was betrayed and killed by his wife Thea and his general Peleus. And isn't that how Bryce kills the well, she takes Gwydion and the Star Sword to kill the Asterai, right? That's how she, yeah.
And then somebody, Carbonara Spice, commented, I'd add, I know.
Sorry.
I'd add that Bryce is running away from her destiny, which is another reason she drops the blades off with Auntie Nesta. And then Jenny_Goat says, if we're looking at the ACOTAR books following the Three Sisters, then it makes sense that it will be Elaine's book. However, if this is the case, I think it will also prominently feature Azriel, even if he isn't going to be the love interest. Koshkai and the crossover with Crescent City. I actually wonder if ACOTAR 6 might even be something along the lines of Empire of Storms and Tower of Dawn that can be read in tandem with Crescent City 4. If that is the case, then SJM could wrap up both ACOTAR and Crescent City as one separated series before she kicks off TOTG. What's TOTG? Don't know. Hopefully including all the major players from the current 3 series. TOTG. Don't know. If that's the case, she can do whatever she wants with Elaine and her mate or love interest. She can settle what is or isn't between Az and Gwyn, and she can keep the momentum going with Azriel's ties to Bryce. The possibility that he is also Starborn and the prison island being the Lost Dust Court. She can also use the Koshkai breadcrumb as another plot, since Koshkai is after the Trove and Bryce has part of the Trove tattooed onto her back. She's going to have to come back to Prythian for storylines. As far as House of Many Waters, if SJM is given each of the 4 houses their own book, then CC would be finished after the next book, which would have to be House of Many Waters. In that book, the relationship between Bryce and Hunt will likely dissolve one way or another. Bryce would be struggling with how to keep Midgard from completely going dark due to the lack of first light, and she would also likely have Koshkai trying to get his hands on her for the Horn.
This is what I was reading, something similar.
People are so clever. I can never put all of this stuff together. Also, SJM also once referred to Elaine as a walking spoiler.
Do you know what I forgot about Peleus?
Go on.
So Peleus was like the general under Fionn and Thea. Thea and him fall in love and they kill Fionn and take over. But he names Helena as the next in line instead before he dies. So Thea sets his sights on conquering other worlds like her former master did, which was the Daglan or the Asterai. Because it was that one that was like under the ground, right? When the Asterai were defeated, they left behind some of their weapons, of which she used the horn and the harp to make the crossing with some of her people, thus entering Midgard from her island, which is the Dawn Court. Peleus was part of the entourage, but later turned to Thea with the help of Regulus, which is one of the princes of hell. He killed Thea on the battlefield and took the Star Sword and the horn from her. named himself the first Starborn Prince of Midgard, and I forgot this, forced Helena to marry him and raped her in the process to continue the lineage of the Starborn. So he like falls, he's like in love with Thea.
Yeah.
When she then says, no, actually you're wrong, like even though she kills her husband and whatever, he then forces to marry and rapes her daughter.
Yeah.
Sometime Apollyon had to steal Peleus' blood to make the Crystallos to hunt the horn. It contained that essence in order to wield the horn. Peleus himself wielded the horn during the first tour and later on until he died. He was buried in the Cave of Princes on Avalon together with the Star Sword. We're going to have to get that board and we're going to have to like...
Yeah. Red
it's going to be like a murder
yeah.
scene here, like a criminal investigation.
Yep. People probably have.
Oh, yeah.
Okay, let me go to my next one. This is another Reddit. It's by Prestigious Fun 782. Okay, I know that Sarah J. Maas said that each book will have a different main character, and it's pretty obvious that Elaine is going to have her own book because Nesta and Feyre have theirs, but I'm not sure about this. I mean, in the last Crescent City book, we see that Nesta is not on good terms with the Inner Circle because Rhys tried to kill her. I don't get what she did. I get what she did was dangerous, but she was trying to save all the universe. And Cassian didn't know how to choose, which is insane because Rhys would go crazy if somebody tried to kill Feyre.
Mm-hmm.
Also, Bryce gave Nesta the blade because of her tattoo. And in Silver Flames, we really didn't see Nesta's powers. I know we saw her nightmare and everything about the cauldron and the mother. So with all of this, I wonder why the next book is going to be Elaine's book. Don't get me wrong, I love her and I want to see her healing. It's pretty clear that Nesta's plot is not done yet. For that, my theory is that she will learn a lot about her powers and maybe she would leave the Night Court. All of that said, my question is, would we see Nesta's plot through Elaine's eyes?
And this is what I mean by I don't think this announcement with ACOTAR 6 is the next book.
Yeah.
I think the next book is 5, and I think it's partially Nesta. We're not done with the Dead Trove. We're not done with that arc yet because we don't know how it then feeds into Elaine, which is going to, but that's why I think the next book isn't going to be completely, like, it's not a novella. So it's not going to be a Frost and Starlight situation, but I don't think we're going to go straight into it. I think we're continuing with Nesta. We need to wrap up as much as we can Nesta's involvement, and then it'll go to Elaine, and then I think we'll wrap up with Elaine's story in book 6. So that's why I think that plays even more. I agree, because we're not where we've left with End of Flame and Shadow. We're not done. It can't just like open chapter 1 and be Elaine's story because it doesn't make any sense.
And she wasn't there in Crescent City.
No, we don't see any mention of her whatsoever.
And then Gilded Gardens commented, I think giving Nesta the sword is meant to further point us towards the idea that somehow the sisters are connected to the Starborn. In my opinion, through their connection to the cauldron. Starmaid, maybe? I don't know. This idea can continue to be explored in the other Cauldron Maid Sisters book.
Well, I also think that a big thing we're going to find out, much like a lead, where I think that they're of descendants of witches.
Yeah.
100%. They've got some witch blood in them.
And somebody, Lisa, Leeser, commented, I'll read it if it's told from the point of view of a teapot. I just want it to come out.
Literally. It could be like an ornament on the fucking mantle. I will just read it.
Yeah, like this is from the point of view of the bog. Okay, and then...
It could be from Tamlin's POV, and I need it. But I do think it's 2 books. I don't think we're talking about one here. I think this announcement is about not the next book.
Then Jarvis2419 says, I think we will get more of Nesta, but I think it will be much later down the road and be done alongside Bryce and Asriel. Based off what we know of how the sword works, I think her leaving it there and Nesta telling her that she can't run from her fate is foreshadowing for more crossover coming at some point. That sword only works to full capacity for the Starborn heir. It's chosen owner and it has chosen Bryce. Others may use it, kind of like Rune, but they won't be able to use it like Bryce because the sword is made for Thea's female heir and Bryce has her identical light. She's not just Starborn, but the Starborn. In addition to the sword, we also find out Bryce is the heir to Dusk and can physically manipulate the land. And there was also foreshadowing between Nesta and Bryce themselves being friends. I think Nesta would be a great friend and general for Bryce in Dusk. This would put her parallel with her mate, give her some space from Rhys so they aren't butting heads, allow Night and Dusk to be allies. I suspect at least some of the Princes of Hell are going to be the bad guys everyone unites against if/when she goes full crossover. I'm also hesitant to think Nesta will get more of her own story because SJM has already started the baby talk with her. I'm wondering if she will use it the same way she did with Feyre and use the baby trope to have them fade into the background, because there was also much with Feyre that was left open-ended as well. We never even see her use her powers to full capacity either. This is all just opinion though. I happen to think her main character arc is done and she will continue on as a side character. Also, with the way SJM has been writing POVs lately, it's possible we could get Nesta's perspective quite a bit regardless of who the main character will be.
Yeah, I agree.
I agree. Yeah, I totally agree.
I agree with all of it.
It's just mad that like one person can have this mind to write 3 different series that all interconnect and have so many things. It's just...
What I can't wait for as well is when it's done, right? When Crescent City's done and ACOTAR's done, that you can like read it in an order where like you can see that and that makes sense sooner. If that, you know what I mean? You're not like clutching at straws like we are right now.
Yeah.
Interesting.
I just have one more thread left and it's a little bit more general. So not as much to talk through. But it's someone's who's written it? Alicia Grosso. And she's written my 8 theories about the next ACOTAR book that I hope come true.
Mm-hmm.
So number 8. Okay, this is where I got the Lucian becomes High King. Lucian becomes High King of Prythian. He's the only one who has the perfect background. I've already talked about this, so I won't go through it, but she's basically saying he has links to so many quotes that it wouldn't look as biased. Number 7 is Vasa and Jurian become sole king and queen of the human realm. It would be the best outcome for Prythian and the mortal lands. Vasa's story has been a loose end for a few books now. She was suddenly introduced as a mystery cursed human queen. Lucian went off to find her and returned with her, and now she's living with Lucian and Jurian in a state of unresolved limbo. Clearly, her story will be an important one in the future, even if it's not at the moment. You can't just introduce a human queen and do nothing with her. Seeing as how the only other progressive-minded young queen on the court was killed by the others for helping Team Rhysand, that leaves Vasa. The ideal outcome would be to see the corrupt human queens defeated and Vasa as the new sole queen, or, barring that, she could become the equivalent of a president if the human realm decides it wants to do away with the monarchy entirely. That's where Jurian comes in. Jurian is another character we know very little about. What we do know about him, however, is that he has plenty of qualities that would make a good king. He's an excellent warrior and strategist. He cares only about helping his people, humans, and he's willing to be ruthless to do so. He's also shown his mental instability, cruel persona, maybe more of an act than anything since the overthrow of Amarantha and Hybern. Jurian has also shown himself to be a good mediator and negotiator. Lucian ruling Prythian and his good friends Vasa and Jurian ruling the mortal lands would be the best outcome for everyone.
Interesting. Okay.
Very interesting.
That's interesting. All I'll say is I can't see fucking Rhys bending the knee to Lucian. That's all I'll say.
Same.
Or Tamlin.
Oh, I can't see Rhys bending the knee to
anyone.
Yeah. Number 6, we've talked about this in previous episodes.
Mm-hmm.
Amarantha was actually Tamlin's mate, but he rejected the bond.
Yeah.
Now that Hybern is defeated, there's one theory that could be revealed. It wouldn't have much of an impact on the story, but retroactively it would give fuller context to the actions and motivations of some characters. Some readers have theorized that Amarantha was Tamlin's mate. We know that Feyre might have been his love, but she wasn't his mate, as that role belongs to Rhysand. That leaves the role of Tamlin's mate open, especially as it appears Tamlin is heading for a redemption arc. Some have speculated that his mate is Elaine, which is fine, I guess. I don't like it, and I don't think it makes sense considering all the tension between her and Lucian. Others, however, have speculated that Tamlin's mate was Amarantha, and that when he rejected Highburn's ideals and her plan to rule Prithian, he essentially rejected the mating bond. This is something I could get behind, as it would explain some actions in the books. It would explain why Amarantha and her riddle were so obsessed with Tamlin, but she also allowed him to live above ground with the Spring Court. Conveniently, the masks she spelled to the Spring Court's faces also kept anyone from being able to gaze upon the excruciatingly jealous Amarantha's mate.
Yeah, I would believe that, yeah.
It would also explain why Tamlin lost his mind over losing Feyre. There's no doubt that Tamlin loved Feyre and that his time being trapped by Amarantha under the mountain broke Tamlin mentally and emotionally. Still, his utter devastation and reversal to beast form after she left him has been odd and extreme. It could be that one of the reasons Tamlin cleaved so hard to Feyre is because he'd rejected the mating bond and was subconsciously panicking that he'd never find a mate, would never find love. Without Feyre, he has no distractions and he's left to ponder the rejected mating bond and if he made the right choice in killing his true mate.
Interesting.
Very interesting. Number 5 is Gwyneth is a light singer. Of all the theories, this seems to be less like a theory and more like an inevitable fact that's been set up through the narrative in the last book. The theory is simple. Gwyneth is not a nymph, but a light singer. This is a really popular theory that's made the rounds thanks to all the very specifically descriptive scenes that describe Gwyn's singing. In the books, Cassian describes light singers as being Prithian's version of sirens, creatures with beautiful faces and mesmerising voices that will lure unsuspecting victims into the bog to drown them. The physical description certainly fits Gwyn. She is beautiful, and her voice is not a normal voice. It's hypnotic, healing even. Her singing is also often described with adjectives associated with light. Whenever Nesta watches her sing, she describes Gwyn as glowing when she sings. That's not a metaphor. She quite literally glows when she sings. Gwyn's singing also conjures up visions for Nesta. Her voice full of wild sunshine. That certainly sounds like a light singer to me. That said, I don't think Gwyn will turn evil. If she is a light singer, I don't think there's enough in her for their dark nature to overtake her. Gwyn has been a fast and true friend to Nesta and has shown her kindness and love and her bravery and determination. It could be possible that Gwyn doesn't even know she's a light singer, or that she was just told she was a quarter nymph to protect her from discrimination. Asriel has certainly taken an interest in her, and it could be that his shadow sends her light. That said, I'm hoping there's another reason he's clearly drawn to Gwyn.
I like that one.
I very much like that one too. Number 4, Asriel ends up with Gwyn as his mate, not Elaine. I mean, we've done a lot of Asriel talk. I'll just say she references the bonus chapter with the necklace.
I think if there's any world that Asriel ends up with Gwyn, it's not as mates.
No, I agree. Number 3, Asriel was meant to be Elaine's mate, but the cauldron gave her Lucian instead. I think we've seen a lot of this. The theory is that Asriel was supposed to be Elaine's mate per the mother's judgment, but when Elaine went into the cauldron, Asriel was in the process of dying at that moment. Remember, his wings had been ravaged and he was badly injured, and the cauldron, which loved Elaine as much as it hated Nesta, took pity on her and gave her Lucian as a mate instead. Since Asriel recovered, however, Elaine now has a tenuous mating bond with both Lucian and Asriel, which is why their dynamic has been so uncertain and fraught. It could, and this is quoted then from the book, it could be that this is the cauldron's ultimate gift to Elaine by giving her 2 mate connection. Oh wait, no, this can't be a quote from the book. This just must be.
Was like, whoa! I was like, where did we
read
that?
Why did she put it in big quote marks? It made me think it was from the book. It could be that this is the cauldron's ultimate gift to Elaine by giving her 2 mate connections that aren't particularly strong. It allows her to choose her partner based on true love rather than a mating bond, which is what she has always wanted.
That's fucking wild. That's wild, and I love it. That's great.
It would explain why Azrael feels a pull toward Elaine, but she doesn't feel the same pull towards Lucian that he feels for her. Then again, Elaine is so against her heart being dictated by a mating bond that she's gone out of her way to avoid spending any time with Lucian, so she wouldn't know if she felt any pull toward him or not. It could be that this is the Cauldron's ultimate...
Yeah.
Number 2, Elaine will free the Fae trapped in the mountain stone of the prison. The theory that the next book in A Court of Thorns and Roses will focus on Elaine seems less a possibility and more a certainty. The story was always about the 3 sisters. Feyre's romance with Rhysand is neatly tied up, and Nesta's romance with Cassian has finally been consummated. That leaves Elaine, and that's good. We can finally get her messy love triangle resolved for everyone's sake, including us readers. But Elaine is mostly a blank slate right now. There's just not much to her. Any book that makes her the central protagonist can't just focus on the love aspect, but must also unravel the mystery of her power, just as previous books unravel the origins of the power behind Feyre and Nesta. The books have been hinting that Elaine might end up being the most powerful Archeron sister of all. We know she has the power of prophecy and clairvoyance, but it seems likely she hasn't fully tapped into that power or learned how to control it. This is why I love the theory, best laid out by Rivendell on Tumblr, that it will be Elaine and her powers that release all the trapped Fae in the prison mountain. The prison is one of ACOTAR's most mysterious places. In a previous book, Rhys suggested that the prison island is where the missing 8th court, the Dusk Court, used to be. That certainly seemed to be confirmed when Nesta touched the harp and had a vision of Fae suddenly being sucked into the mountain and trapped forever. It seems there might be some sort of portal in the prison and that the Dusk Court got pulled into the stone. It makes sense that Elaine would be the one to free them. Each of the Archeron sisters has been tied to a mountain. Feyre came into her own when she defeated Amarantha under the mountain. Nesta became herself on Ramiel, passing the blood rite. That leaves the prison mountain for Elaine's test. She can hear and see things others can't. If anyone can hear and see the Fae trapped in stone, it's Elaine. And if any character can coax the harp to give up its prize, it's gentle Elaine. She's the last of the sisters to show how powerful she is. They're all uniquely powerful, and that's likely for a reason, leading to my last theory.
Okay.
But that's really good, I think.
That is good. Yeah,
and the mountain thing, I fucking love it all.
Yeah.
So number 1, the Archeron sisters have blood from the Fae who caught the Bone Carver.
Oh, okay.
The Archeron sisters are special, and while most fantasy and romancy books tend to have Mary Sues as protagonists, the Archerons are individually powerful and uniquely so. That just shouldn't be possible or probable for the average human in ACOTAR's world. All 3 of them survive being made. Fae were reborn through the combined power of the High Fae Lords, and Nesta and Elaine by the Cauldron. By rights, there's no way all 3 of them should have survived, much less thrived, but they did. This suggests there's something special about the Archeron sisters. It could be that they're destined to help save Prythian and the mortal lands, and its fate and the mother at play. Or, as a popular theory suggests, it could be that they have Fae blood in them. Specifically, they could have the blood of the very Fae who helped capture the Bone Carver. The Bone Carver has shown keen interest in Feyre, and he even made a point to mention that the Fae warrior who captured him has a bloodline that can still be traced to humans in the mortal lands. Just might be that the next ACOTAR book will reveal the Archeron sisters are of her bloodline.
That's interesting that he says that. What an unusual thing to say.
I didn't remember him talking about the bloodline of who captured him.
But the fact that it's still traced to humans, like, what's the need to say that?
Yeah.
Like, what does that benefit? Ooh. Oh. It's a lot to think about.
Honestly, I could sit on Reddit and read people's theories all day. Because, like, somebody will say something, like you could say something to me now and I'd be like, no, that's never going to happen. Put it on Reddit and give me points of, like, you know, like, see this in this book and see this quote, in this book and see that. I'm like, oh my God, yeah, it is. That's canon. That's happened.
Well,
like,
yeah.
That's how my mind works. Like, if you can lay things out factually, I'm so on board with you.
I worry, though, the same I worried. Well, I didn't worry at the time, but having lived that experience
with House of Flame and
Are
Shadow.
we like overestimating?
I know, but ACOTAR is so different to Crescent City.
It is, I agree.
And like it's written differently, and
no, I agree. That's why I did
if the mics didn't pick that up, he just cracked all her knuckles.
Sorry, I'm really
Yuck.
sorry. I needed a crack.
Anything to add?
No,
Anything else I know.
Whenever we talk about these ACOTAR, like it scrambles my brain.
Yeah,
and
same.
I always feel like, oh, okay.
I don't really know ACOTAR at all.
Yeah, I need to reread.
We're an ACOTAR podcast and know nothing about ACOTAR.
But yeah, like I think my biggest takeaways from this announcement and what we've just talked about is that book 5 is book 5 and book 6 is book 6. The next book is not book 6. Then what she has just announced finishing is not the next book. It's the book after. And I think that we're not going to get Elaine's story as quickly as we think. I think there still needs to be some transition from Nesta. I don't think it's going to be pick up the next book and here's Elaine's story. Yeah. I think it's going to take some time.
Yeah, you're not opening it and it's opening scene, Elaine in her garden.
Elaine sucking off Asriel. Like, no.
I'd be game for it, though.
Yeah.
Yeah. Guys, please let us know of any other theories. Yeah. Please let us know what you think of the theories that you've read out. Let us know if you're the person who wrote the different threads that we read.
Is it you? Because,
yeah, I want to pick your brain more because some of these threads, send us more threads. If there's one that you've read that you're like, no, this one's really good, send them over because I'll read them all.
And there will be a thread for this in Discord. So again, come join Discord to talk about Massivist theories, talk about what we talked about today. Like Sam said, if there's anything that you want to add, come talk about it. We want to talk about it with you.
Please join us on Discord so we can all spiral together.
Yes. But I want to know my biggest fear is I think before the end of the year, we're going to get a date announcement. And I think I'm really worried that it's going to be around the time of your wedding. And I can tell you now that I'll be reading it walking down the aisle.
Inside your bouquet.
Literally, like you're doing speeches and I've just got it like under the table.
He's audio booking at the table.
Yeah, literally. Like this.
Laugh when everyone else laughs.
Yeah. Or it's going to be like the day of your wedding, and anytime you have a little break, I'll just read you a chapter or two.
You're in my year. You know, have you seen the trend on TikTok where like the bridesmaids give the husband like sexy photos? Yeah. You'll be coming up with like a sexy chapter. Like quickly read this, Sam.
Or like when you're getting ready, me just sat there like reading.
Behind me, reading to me. I'd love that. Yeah. Somebody doing my hair, somebody doing makeup, somebody reading me smut.
The next ACOTAR. Yeah, that's my only concern. So Sarah, if you're listening.
Yeah, if you could just avoid May of 2026.
Yeah, that'd be great. It's a busy time for us. We could do without it.
But just after May, it'd be perfect. I'll read it on my honeymoon.
Yeah, exactly. Well, exactly.
And the next Riftborn is coming out.
Yeah, Realm Blade. Yeah, buzzing.
26th of May, and that's 3 days after my wedding, so I'll take that on my honeymoon.
Buzzing.
Go and speak to Steve. So glad we got married.
See you never.
Are we done?
Yeah, I think so.
Oh, that was fun.
That was fun.